पानी की हर बूंद की अपनी कहानी है। किस बादल से बरस, किस पर्वत से निकल, किस नदी से लिपट, किस धरा से टकरा आपके ग्लास तक आई है। आज ये जानना बहुत जरूरी है, जिससे सबके ग्लास में पानी बना रहे। क्या आपके आसपास भी कोई पानी की कहानी है? जुड़िए पानी की कहानी इनिशिएटिव से। पानी की कहानी.org से जुड़ें। जानकारी के लिए संपर्क फॉर्म जरूर भरें।
और अब मैं मंच पर आमंत्रित करूंगी डॉक्टर वेंकटेश दत्ता जी को, प्रोफेसर, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एनवायरमेंटल साइंस, स्कूल ऑफ अर्थ एंड एनवायरमेंटल साइंसेज, BBAU, लखनऊ। थोड़ा सा बताना चाहूंगी प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर दत्ता के बारे में। ये प्राकृतिक संसाधन प्रबंधन, पर्यावरण प्रवाह, जल गुणवत्ता, नदी बहाली, शहरी पर्यावरण योजना और जलवायु नीति के विशेषज्ञ हैं। उनके पास भूमि उपयोग और जोनिंग विनियम, जल ग्रहण योजना, नदी बहाली और इको हाइड्रोलॉजी के क्षेत्रों में 20 वर्षों से अधिक का पेशेवर अनुभव है। ये फुल ब्राइट फेलो और ब्रिटिश चीवरिंग स्कॉलर भी हैं। डॉक्टर वेंकटेश दत्ता जी से निवेदन है कि वो पृष्ठभूमि प्रस्तुत करें और टाइम्स वाटर कॉन्क्लेव वाराणसी के लिए संदर्भ निर्धारित करें।
Thank you so much for such a generous introduction. Respected Dr. Neelkant Tiwari ji, Minister of State Tourism, Sri Dinesh Khatik ji, Minister of State Jal Shakti, distinguished guests, my dear friends from Water Aid and all civil societies, universities. This is indeed a great day because we are talking about water positive society. And you know, UP is such a large state. When UP is water positive, India would be water positive. So I'm going to set a context of today's presentation and deliberations. And this is a brief presentation, 15 minutes, so I would try to be very brief and draw an outline why we are here, why we need water positive river basins, water positive state and water positive country, and what are the building blocks and the roadmap. Next. What is unique with UP? This is the structure of my presentation. So I have divided my presentation into 5 segments. I will be talking on the strength, the challenges, the success stories, and the 5 P's of water positive. What are those 5 P's? And finally the roadmap. Next. Now UP is very unique. It is India's 4th largest state in terms of population. And if you see the data on the census data 2011, it could have been the 5th largest country in the world, right? A population density which is almost double than the national average, and there are 7 million plus towns, and many of them are water stressed. It is dominated by agriculture, which accounts for 27% of state GDP, and most of the people are engaged into agriculture. Now, what UP is also endowed with a lot of rivers, water bodies, wetlands. We have plenty of water bodies, 8 large river basins. We are very fortunate that we are sitting across the banks of the Ganges. There's a Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb and there's a Ganga Jamuna Doab. Between land, between 2 rivers, there are many interfluve areas between many rivers. And very important, there's a deep alluvial aquifers. I'm reminded of 16th century painter and a polymath, Leonardo da Vinci. You know, he said, the biggest rivers of the world flows underneath, and what you see is just the tip of the iceberg, because there's a huge groundwater reserve inside below the river basins, and that is biggest in the entire world. Next. So this is the, the fabric, the land of rivers, and the groundwater, of course, you cannot see. And this is the river that flows underneath. Next. So what are the challenges? Why we need to do this kind of dialogue with many stakeholders? First of all, we have a lot of water-intensive crops here in UP, paddy, sugarcane, wheat, and this has also replaced earlier coarser grains like maize and ragi and pulses and oilseeds. A lot of focus is on cash crops, and the biggest withdrawal of groundwater anywhere in the world happening inside onto the Ganga alluvial plain, that is inside UP. 1/4 of the total wastewater generation which happens in this state, and not to mention there are large scale implications of carbon usage, the energy footprints, the water footprints. I can just tell you, in your family, every household is consuming about 20,000 liters of virtual water. Even if you consume 1 cup of tea, it means about 600 liters of water, because the virtual water is never accounted for. And the biggest canal network anywhere in the world is inside Uttar Pradesh. 74,000 kilometers of canal network, huge canal network surviving on these 8 rivers. Next. So I don't want to go into detail, but I must tell you that within 20 years, 60% of all aquifers in India will be in a critical condition. And of course, UP, with such a large alluvial tract, Ganga alluvial plain, and the aquifers, both confined and unconfined aquifers, a lot of pressure is there on groundwater. If you could imagine situation at the time of independence, 1947, when we had just 3,000 wells, but now every year we are adding 8 lakhs wells onto the entire, the number of wells in terms of their diffusion. Next. So if you see this data on annual freshwater withdrawal of top 5 countries, India is on the top. And UP, the groundwater contributes to about 77% of irrigation in Uttar Pradesh. The entire withdrawal of groundwater is almost 26 times the water stored inside the Bhakra Dam. You know Bhakra Dam, such a huge dam, multiply by 26. That is the amount of water we withdraw from ground every year from UP. Next. Can we have next slide? Now, what are some success stories? UP is really, it's playing a key role in innovating, building and expanding water infrastructure. Starting from schemes like Har Ghar Jal, which intends to provide every household access to piped water. Right now, almost like 42% of people, they are getting, in rural areas, they are getting piped water supply. Then it is also powering water supply in 66 districts through solar. So there is a lot of reduction in carbon footprints by going solar. And most of these solar pumps are coming in Bundelkhand and Vindhyas. There is focus on revival of rivers, restorations of rivers. A lot of STPs are coming up from Bijnor to Balia. Many STPs are coming up. Focus on precision irrigation like Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, more crop per drop, drip irrigation, sprinklers, and a lot of farm ponds coming up in Bundelkhand area, which is water deficient area. And there's a scheme called Har Khet Mein Pani or Har Khet Mein Talab, Apna Talab Abhiyan. Many farmers have constructed in Bundelkhand and Vindhyas flood protection, desilting of canals, and also water sensitive master plans coming in a very big way. Many bold steps have been taken by Uttar Pradesh in terms of refining and modifying the entire legal landscape, the policy landscape, and also the regulatory landscape. If you see the reform which has taken place in last 5 years, starting from Groundwater Act to Wetlands Authority, Atal Bhujal Yojana, covering entire 75 districts, groundwater security plan, basin plan, then you have district Ganga committee, real-time monitoring, bottom-up approaches. So these are the steps which are quite, bold steps, I would say, and that would transform the water landscape. Next. Now, if you see the focus globally, UP is also trying to align with the global innovations or the global landscape of innovative water resource management. During 60s, the focus was more on dams and barrages and weirs, storages. So the focus was on water resource development. We moved to a regime of water resource management. And now the focus is on governance, innovation, convergence, cooperation, collaboration. A lot of, these terms are coming up, and the water sector is not alone. Water sector is also embracing these new challenges. Next. So how we can make UP water positive? With P in positive, I want to add another 5 P's. The water positive state would come from water positive principles, that is on integrated water resource management, IWRM. Then water positive minds, the entire HR pool. We have the young minds from universities, from academia, from IITs. A lot of young minds would make change. They are the change agents. They would resolve the conflicts. And then water positive process. Those are participatory, collaborative, evidence-based, data-based community decisions, and water positive practice. The practice which is community oriented, the practice which is more open, the practice which is engaging, which is gender neutral. And finally, water positive policy. Like we have Atal Bhujal Yojana spreading to all entire 75 districts, the water security plan, the river basin plan. So securing and sustaining good practices and moving away from a regime of command and control water resource management. Next. So I'll just try to sum up. These are some of the steps how we can make some innovative component and ingrain into water resource management. We have huge floodplains across the banks of the rivers, and if you make water sanctuary, friends, we talk about wildlife sanctuary, but right now the time is to make water sanctuary, water surplus river basins. And if we have the floodplain zoning act, many states have floodplain zoning act, then we make the water positive river basins. Next. We have to restore all smaller rivers, thousands of rivers in a cultural tapestry of entire Uttar Pradesh. They make the first order, second order, third order, fourth order. Ganga is a master drain. So Ganga is master drain which connects all the rivers, and we have to restore not only the wetlands, the ponds, but also the smaller river systems. Next. Water sensitive master plan, I have already talked about. This is a famous drain. We are restoring it back to glory, and we have to do it for each and every segment of the river streams. Next. Next, this is again water sensitive master plan. Can we have next slide? So we have to move away from the culture of wheat, paddy, and sugarcane. If you see the entire food basket, the bajra, arhar, pulses, and all those oil seeds, we have to make Bundelkhand again the bowl of pulses. Earlier it was known as bowl of pulses, but now they are also going for cash crops. So we must bring that culture of coarser grains, less water intensive crops, and more productive land. Next. Higher water productivity, that is water precision irrigation, what we call drips, sprinklers, micro irrigation. Next. And this is very important, wastewater reuse. The holistic philosophy of water cycle is use water, reuse water, and return back to nature. So we must return back the same water that we have taken in the first place to the same pristine state, and for that we must reuse all the water, wastewater, and there's a huge scope. Next. So this is my last 2 slides. how we should move away from this regime of command and control and make water policy quite, collaborative, integrative, evidence-based, participatory. So I have just listed down what Times of India is trying to do with, of course, with the help of universities and water aid and all those important departments. First of all, we need to have active engagement, which we are not having these days, with a wide range of stakeholders. Then bridging the knowledge gap, that is very important, using integrative science. I am using the term integrative science, which is bridging the policy and practice. There is a valley of death between policy and practice, and that can only be done by integrative science. Co-develop and co-learn. There is a term called watergy, that is water energy as one sector, and I have added watergy, that means agriculture, water and energy together. And finally, develop good practice approaches. Next. So this is my last slide. We have to work on these building blocks, and these are coordination, capacity, coherence, and convergence. So I will not go into detail, but the idea is that if we have strong institutional capacity, what Jal Shakti is trying to do, trying to bring all the departments under one umbrella with strong water resource management infrastructure. Storage is very important. From where you have to develop those storages. Then coherence, policy coherence is very important with agriculture policy, energy policy. These are the two big policy where we have to develop coherence and integrate social, hydrological and ecological dimensions of water governance, and finally the community engagement. Thank you so much for your patience and time. Thank you.